Welcome, dear listeners, to a tale that begins with a quiet winter morning and unfolds into something far more intricate and chilling than it first appears. Imagine this: a frozen lake, an ice road thought to be unbreakable, and a massive truck lying submerged beneath the surface. What happened here was no accident. Someone had deliberately tampered with the road, setting off a chain of events that would leave even seasoned investigators questioning everything they thought they knew. If you've ever wondered how quickly calm can turn to chaos, or how one discovery can unravel hidden truths, then stay with me. This is a story about mystery, danger, and the lengths some will go to protect what they believe in. Let's dive in together. As Officer Greg Tompson approached the frozen lake, he never anticipated the chilling sight that awaited him. A massive truck had crashed through the seemingly solid ice road that the state opened every year. As more units responded to the scene, it became evidently clear to Officer Greg Tompson that this wasn't just an unfortunate accident. Someone had deliberately sabotaged the ice road so that the truck would fall through. But why? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Initial confusion turned to alarm when the officers discovered the unusual cargo inside, leading them to hastily evacuate the entire area. Every year, part of the main road would close down due to a protected animal species that would hibernate there during winter. To keep traffic flowing, they had a special road made that would be a beautiful grass field during summer and an ice road in the winter. Only specific vehicles were allowed to enter, and they all had to have ice chains around their wheels. There had been some trial and error in the beginning of opening the road, but now, after 5 years of use, everything always went smoothly. Well, that was until this year, because one early morning, a truck suddenly crashed through the ice. No one had seen it coming, and the driver barely made it out without any scratches. It truly baffled everyone, as a truck almost twice the size of that truck had driven over the road the day before without any issues. That was why Officer Greg Tompson was called to investigate the crash. Officer Tompson began by asking everyone working on the road if they had seen anything suspicious. No one had actually seen anything, which wasn't making their case very strong. It also didn't help that Officer Tompson already thought they were reaching a bit too far before he even arrived at the scene. He figured the ice had to have melted a little. He just couldn't believe someone would tamper with a road like that. It made no sense. The road was only used for freight transport. Who would want to tamper with that? But as he looked around the road, he began to see some signs he simply couldn't ignore. Somewhere close to the crash site were tire tracks, and no one could tell him from which car they came. As more incident response teams showed up, Officer Tompson found more and more evidence. A crowbar in the bushes, food wrappers none of the RO cod workers had seen before, and used gloves in the trash. Officer Tompson bagged everything and took it with him to the lab for DNA testing. Sadly, there was no hit. The people who had done this either were very clean or had never done anything illegal before. He decided to go back to the scene and try and find more evidence. The crash site was now swarming with response teams. They were trying to figure out how to best get the truck out of the water, but they couldn't move it as long as Officer Tompson was investigating the incident. He had to give them permission to lift the truck out of the water, but first, he had to know what was inside. He also couldn't simply open the truck's cargo doors as they were halfway under the water. He eventually came up with a plan. They had to lift the backside of the truck out of the water, and once they had done that, he could look inside. Officer Tompson approached the driver, who shivered beside the road. He asked about the cargo and any odd events before the crash. The driver, confused, claimed ignorance about the load. Tompson, sensing the urgency, used his phone to call for specialized help. He contacted a crane service and a diving team, explaining the situation's urgency. Both teams were dispatched quickly, showcasing Tompson's effective communication. The crane arrived with a rumble, its massive frame towering over the scene. The divers, equipped for the cold, briefed Tompson on their plan. The truck started to emerge from the water, revealing more of its hidden secrets inch by inch. With the truck partially out of the water, Tompson began planning the next phase. He discussed with the team the need to secure the vehicle for a thorough inspection. With the team prepared, Tompson LED'd them toward the truck. As the cargo doors finally opened, Tompson and his team peered inside. They took initial observations of the contents, noting the arrangement and condition of the items within without disturbing the scene. They began to document everything, taking photographs and making notes. Tompson, with the help of a colleague, carefully navigated the opening he had created. They used a portable ladder to descend into the container, mindful of the potential hazards inside. Once within, Tompson switched on his flashlight, casting light on the contents inside the container. Tompson began documenting the findings. He took photos of the cargo layout and any identifiers on the packages. After the preliminary inspection, Tompson planned the detailed examination of the cargo. He decided to call in specialists in hazardous materials and forensics to ensure a thorough investigation. Tompson quickly suited up in the hazmat gear provided by the emergency team. Tompson, now fully protected, descended once again into the container. He used a handheld detector to measure for toxic gases, watching the readings closely as he moved further inside. Inside the container, Tompson began a more detailed assessment of the content. He located several barrels and containers, some of which appeared to be leaking. After completing his initial sweep, Tompson began preparing to exit the container, making way for the hazardous materials team to take over. He marked areas of concern with fluorescent tape and left notes on his initial observation. As he climbed out of the container, he knew the investigation was entering a new phase, with experts soon to unveil the full extent of the threat. Tompson's urgent call for evacuation set the team into swift motion. They began directing the gathered crowd and other responders to move to a designated safe distance, using loudspeakers to communicate the urgency without causing panic. Once at a safe distance, Tompson coordinated with the hazardous materials hazmat team that was en route. He provided them with detailed information about the situation, including his observations inside the container and the immediate need for evacuation. With the area evacuated and the hazmat team on its way, Tompson and his team set up a temporary command post at a safe distance. From here, they monitored the situation, maintaining communication with the hazmat team and other emergency services. Together with the hazmat team, Tompson participated in a strategy session. They discussed the potential risks and formulated a plan to safely inspect and neutralize the hazardous materials. With a plan in place, Tompson and the hazmat specialists donned their protective gear, readying themselves to approach the truck. The biohazard team, meticulously examining the cargo, confirmed the presence of dangerous materials. Their findings were immediately shared with Tompson, who coordinated with local law enforcement to secure the scene further. Tompson collaborated with federal agencies, sharing information and pooling resources to trace the material's source. The team worked tirelessly, conducting interviews and reviewing shipping records, determined to uncover the network behind the environmental protest group's actions. The revelation of the biohazardous cargo led to a nationwide reassessment of transport and safety protocols. As the community and law enforcement processed the shock of the incident, Tompson remained at the forefront of the ongoing investigation and response. They conducted raids on suspected hideouts, seizing documents and digital evidence that shed light on the group's reach and intentions. He oversaw the implementation of new tracking systems for hazardous materials and contributed to developing emergency response plans. His hands-on involvement ensured that the new measures were practical, effective, and enforceable. Tompson's dedication to the investigation and his efforts to improve public safety earned him recognition both within his department and the wider community. He received commendations for his leadership and was invited to speak at national conferences on transportation safety. His contributions highlighted the critical role of law enforcement in public health and safety, strengthening the bond between the police force and the communities they serve. Even as the immediate crisis waned, Tompson remained vigilant. He established ongoing workshops for local businesses and schools on safety and preparedness, emphasizing the importance of community involvement and preventing similar incidents. His commitment to education and preparedness ensured that the lessons learned from the incident would have a lasting impact, contributing to a safer, more informed community. Tompson spent time reviewing the case file, analyzing the steps taken from the emergency response to the investigation's closure. He organized debriefings with his team to discuss what was learned and how future responses could be improved. This reflective practice not only enhanced their operational effectiveness, but also fostered a culture of continuous learning and adaptation within his department. To address the ethical questions raised by the case, Tompson initiated a series of workshops on ethics in law enforcement. These discussions helped to reinforce the department's commitment to integrity, accountability, and respect for civil liberties. Understanding the importance of community trust, Tompson expanded his outreach effort. He organized community meetings to discuss public safety concerns and law enforcement practices. By actively listening and responding to community feedback, Tompson worked to bridge the gap between the police force and the residents they served, reinforcing his role as a trusted community leader. Recognizing the impact of mentorship, Tompson dedicated more time to mentoring young officers. He shared his experiences and insight, emphasizing the importance of ethical policing and community engagement. His mentorship helped shape a new generation of officers who were well prepared to face the challenges of modern law enforcement with integrity and compassion. As Tompson looked to the future, he continued to explore ways to improve public safety and police-community relations. He remained committed to applying the lessons learned from the incident to make lasting changes. His leadership and innovative approaches inspired his team and community members alike, setting the stage for ongoing progress and positive change. To promote responsibility, Tompson spearheaded a program where officers participated in community service projects, helping to clean up local parks and participate in environmental conservation efforts. This program not only contributed positively to the community's well-being, but also allowed officers to engage with residents in non-enforcement contexts, building stronger, more personal connections. Tompson became an active participant in local government meetings, advocating for policies that would benefit both public safety and environmental sustainability. Recognizing the importance of environmental conservation, Tompson pursued additional education on environmental laws and policies. He began to integrate environmental advocacy into his department's mission, encouraging his officers to recognize environmental protection as a key aspect of public safety. This shift highlighted the interconnectedness of ecological well-being and community health. As Tompson looked forward to this new chapter, he explored partnerships with local schools to educate students on the importance of environmental conservation and the role law enforcement can play in protecting natural resources. His vision for the future involved a comprehensive approach to public service where environmental stewardship became an integral part of law enforcement's pledge to serve and protect.